Black Box Podcast, BBOR, Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. Welcome to the first little mini-segment here on this channel, and let's get right to things. One of the most pressing issues that we're dealing with in America right now is partisanship. People are just kind of divided in half, they choose their side and they stick to it no matter what. And it's one of the things that is dragging our country down. Now, one of the people that I feel was actually very insightful about the political world was William Cooper. He might have been more famous for talking about things like UFOs or describing the protocols of the Elders of Zion, but in reality, he actually made some very insightful statements about the American political system. And one of his claims was that if you ever decide that you are left or right, that means that you have an agenda. Why not just be on the side of the truth? And when we're going to talk about things like partisanship, the only candidate I've found in the 2020 presidential election that has made partisanship the kind of central focus of his campaign is John Delaney, the representative from the 6th District of Maryland. Former representative, we should say. But the problem is, he has a message that is not resonating with anyone. There's even a hashtag campaign, Drop Out John Delaney. On Twitter and Instagram, they're encouraging him to drop out very, very passionately. And part of the reason for this ties into the Mike Gravel campaign. They wanted John Delaney to drop out so Mike Gravel could take his spot in the national debates that were going on over the summer. But it's now autumn. It's now October. We're getting ready for Halloween and all that. Looking forward to that. This is one of the best months of the year. But the thing is, though, it's like, just when you actually want to look at someone who's going to be addressing the concept of partisanship, this is something that is highly neglected from the conversation in the United States of America. And my biggest problem with the Democrats is that they are neglecting different ideas. They are ignoring different ideas. They aren't willing to listen to people who have different ideas. People just chose their candidate. They chose the person that they're going to root for, and that's it. End of story. Till death do us part. Voting is not a marriage. Voting is not just like selling your soul to the candidate, especially in the primary. This isn't even the general election yet. This is the primary when you have 25 different people running, and you don't even get curious about what 24 of them have to say. Nope, I don't need to hear it. I only watch their videos to hit the dislike button, and that's it. And guess what? The same is true for the Republican Party. Just because Donald Trump is the president, it does not mean that he had to be the nomination. When you have 3 declared candidates that wanted to challenge him, Joe Walsh, Bill Weld, and Mark Sanford, let's not kid ourselves, though. It was somewhat of an unrealistic challenge for the Republicans. They held one Republican debate that was featured on BusinessInsider.com, not even on a major news platform. I couldn't even find it on YouTube. I had to go to the Business Insider Facebook page to watch that. And Governor Mark Sanford didn't even attend. So it's like, that really goes to show you that there is just a certain sense of it's kind of hopelessness, let's say, with the Republican primary. But once again, though, I would say, though, why can't they be open to new ideas as well and new perspectives and new things from candidates? I'm not super impressed with the field on the Republican side. Joe Walsh, Bill Weld, and Mark Sanford. I am very disappointed in Governor Mark Sanford, also known as Representative Mark Sanford from South Carolina, for not wanting to attend the Republican debate. It was only Weld and Walsh. He didn't want to attend, and it's like they said he had a scheduling conflict. Obviously, they aren't really taking it very seriously, but at the same time, he was the one that I was most curious about because we were introduced to William Weld in 2016 while he was running alongside Gary Johnson. And we've been introduced to Joe Walsh. I almost called him Bill Walsh. No, Bill Walsh is resting in peace and such, but former coach of the 49ers. No, Joe Walsh is someone that we've learned about for all the wrong reasons. He was not. Many people found out about him because of his appearance on Who is America, happy shooting kids, endorsing a program that would have given children firearms and a rudimentary knowledge of mortars, but also I also heard about him because of all of the sort of bigoted comments that he had made in the past, all the just sort of like outrageous, racially insensitive things that he had been saying about countless demographics. It's not only one. Joe Walsh discriminates against everybody, but a lot of people think that Joe Walsh was only running for president because it was a publicity stunt to save his failing radio show. But I mean, that's kind of all we have to say about the Republicans right now. But I mean, I would kind of just ask that as the first challenge question. Do you think that there is a Republican who is not running right now for president that should be challenging Donald Trump? A lot of people wanted Mitt Romney to run again. A lot of people wanted Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, to run. Is there any Republican that you think should join in against Donald Trump? Just totally theoretical question. I mean, no wrong answers there. Anything is welcome. But aside from that, when we want to look at some of the things that are just affecting the Democrats, there was a tweet that was coming out that was just saying that should Hillary Clinton jump in the race? You know, it really isn't too late. Should Hillary Clinton try again? And the answer to that is not only no, it is hell no. What is this obsession with putting up losers? And I do say that about Hillary Clinton because she tried multiple times to become president and she was unsuccessful. She tried and it didn't work. Why can't you get some new blood? What is this whole thing about trying to find this new youthful spirit of the Democratic Party? But they're the top three candidates for the Democrats: Bernie, Warren, Biden, all over 70 years old. And Bernie and Biden are over 75. Well, one of the reasons why is the Justice Democrats were really pushing for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to become the leader of the Democratic Party. They wanted her to be the new face of the Democratic Party. But the problem is, AOC is too young to be president. And furthermore, at this time, like, this would have to be something that they wanted to kind of like prepare her for the future. I have made a very big prediction once, and like, I'll say it again. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will one day be the nominee of the Democratic Party for President of the United States. Will she win? No, because she doesn't have the mic skills to succeed. But one day, I predict, once she turns 35, 36, the first time she's eligible to run, maybe even it's also when she's 40 years old or something, she might be here for another 50 years. That's what happens, like when someone is 28 and they're kind of entering in the House of Representatives. Unless a major scandal happens, I predict that one day she will win the Democratic nomination, be nominated by the committee, and be running for the presidency against a Republican contender, and she will lose the general election. I'm not the biggest fan of hers, but on the one hand, I commend the Democrats for trying to repackage the party. But the thing is, though, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a Democratic socialist. Bernie Sanders is also a Democratic socialist, right? Not all Democrats are Democratic socialists. So we talked about partisanship at the beginning of this segment. How about hyper-partisanship? Because there's this prediction that the Democrats are going to split into an even more precise faction. They're going to have the Democrats and the Democratic Socialists. The Democrats would kind of take on something of the more corporate Democrat types, the more pro-financier type, and then the Democratic Socialist would be just in the tradition of Bernie Sanders and AOC. And, that kind of goes without saying. So we can really see, though, that there is a very large sense of division that is going on with the Democratic Party. You want to talk about strategy? Fragmenting the party prior to a presidential election is probably not the best way to win, but Nancy Pelosi has never been too sharp on anything other than increasing her own power. And I said some kind of good things about John Delaney calling out partisanship at the beginning. John Delaney follows Nancy Pelosi completely. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I mean, I don't trust her at all. I would trust her as far as I can throw her, and if there is not a strong gust of wind, I probably couldn't throw her very far. So when you actually want to look at the American political system, though, it's almost like the country has this kind of hankering need not to unify. And one of the reasons is, it's like there is a real kind of rejection of ideas from different backgrounds. And this might sound like a blunt statement, but on the side of the right, you can kind of see that, that's kind of somewhat expected because, it kind of comes along with the sort of preservation of tradition. But when it comes to people who claim to be progressive and they're all about openness and new ideas, yet at the same time, they aren't being open to new ideas, it becomes a little frustrating. So I would just hope that anyone's going through the 2020 elections, all I can say is keep an open mind. These political labels are meaningless. Right, left, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, traditionalist. One people, one humanity. Namaste. Hallelujah.